The content you're about to hear may be graphic in nature. Listener discretion is advised.
Oh, how I wonder what it's like to relax. See the sky down under. Hope my plans collapse. Oh, how I'm under the surface of my tears, falling down asunder the meaning of my years.
This is True Crime XS.
We sit down and we start covering scam things. And a lot of times we have to wait really, really long times before anything happens to it. And I guess this one, technically, I think this counts as taking a really long time. But did you see how much activity and news has started popping up related to the Courtney Jordan Foundation?
I have.
When I sat down to put together a story about it, we were talking about the fact that they were scamming these smaller communities. We knew something was very wrong with them, and we had gone back through the archives and kind of looked where they tried to take over a town down in North Carolina with elections, and then they had set up these free summer camps for kids. And then if you go read on their wiki page, the guy, Courtney Jordan himself, claims to be a billionaire with $8 billion worth of net worth or liquidity or something. And the more we looked at it, the weirder it got.
Right. It's really hard to understand what's the point of this, right?
Right. And I don't think we ever really get to the point that you and I were like, okay, now we understand the end goal there. But it had some ramifications for the CEO of the Courtney Jordan Foundation and the various things tied to it. And she got arrested. Mainly got arrested for putting her signature on bad checks from Courtney Jordan. But then I started seeing that they were wanted. And they, in this instance, are two people that were in all the news stories, but not talking. And we talked about this, I guess, last summer. We had a couple of episodes on this.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I can't really.
And then we had a follow-up. I think that was last summer. So Nick Gallardo was one of the people that suddenly had warrants for their arrest. And the other person was Courtney Jordan himself. And that was interesting to me because it had really been playing out in kind of this low-level civil court setting. And then this one woman was charged with some serious stuff, but it looked like she had kind of been the person they could find. I don't think you or I put a lot of stock into what was going on there. But this is someone who doesn't even have a Wikipedia page claiming to, be worth billions and billions of dollars. I did notice that they had updated their alternative Wikipedia page, the Wiki Genius page. Have you ever heard of this thing?
No.
So if you go to wikigenius.org/wiki/Courtney, COURTNEY_Jordan, JORDAN, you'll find a description of Courtney Jordan. And it just says, Courtney Jordan, born May 18th, 1988, is an American billionaire, entrepreneur, investor, and philanthropist. He is best known for founding the NEYIS, NEYIUS, a multinational conglomerate with investments in media, technology, hospitality, and renewable energy. He also leads the Courtney Jordan Foundation, a global nonprofit focused on economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, and environmental conservation. And then it gives sort of a breakdown of his life. It says Courtney Jordan was born in Charlotte, North Carolina. His entrepreneurial journey began at the age of 8 with a neighborhood gumball vending machine business. He later attended North Carolina Central University. During his time there, he would found the student-run television network called Eagle Eye News and caused a stir during the 2008 election by supporting the McCain-Palin ticket, so John McCain and Sarah Palin, over the Obama-Biden campaign. He also credits his success to the mentorship of Dr. Maria Lumpkin and Chancellor Charlie Nelms. Despite facing challenges such as a learning disability and significant family losses, including the deaths of his father and sister, Jordan remained dedicated to his entrepreneurial ambitions. Then it breaks down his career and basically says in 2010 he developed this thing called PicPack, which became a security feature for Microsoft Windows phones. It says this was later acquired by Microsoft. And then he was consulting with Sega and American Express. In 2018, he acquired and rebranded the Odyssey Channel, which became part of his media company Scenester, like scene in a movie, SCENE, stir. It says by 2018, he was working to transform his private equity firm Venture Beyond Capital into this corporation, expanding into the NIES, ever how you say it, Connect Media Hotel Group and HostRite are their 4 main companies. And it says they strategically invested in undervalued travel and hospitality stocks during COVID-19. And that included MGM Resorts, Carnival Cruise, American Airlines, Delta Airlines. And by 2023, they had expanded into 17 countries with 26 subsidiaries. It also points out that he financially backed the investigative paper Chatham Weekly, which assembled a team of renowned journalists, Rachel Schuster, Stuart Lawrence, and Elizabeth Keegan. And he created the podcast Chatham Discussions, which explores issues of systemic racism and economic disparity in Chatham County, North Carolina. I don't know where he would point on the Chatham doll if the doctor asked him to show the source of his trauma, but whatever is happening in Chatham County, he really hates it there.
Well, it seems like he has enough money to just leave.
I don't think he lives there in the first place.
So what's the deal?
I don't know. I have no idea.
So did he make billions of dollars from Microsoft? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, he's not worth billions of dollars. And
well, that's...
I don't know where they're getting all this information from. My guess is it's probably from Courtney Jordan. His full-time job is updating things about himself on the internet.
Well, right. And if he just sold one little whatever function, it sounds like, to Microsoft, that's not, $1 billion.
No, it's like app money. It's not, you're right. It's not $1 billion money. It's app money. And which you can make millions, but there's a big difference between making a couple million and making $1 billion.
Okay. I just want to make sure. I mean, I have my own opinion, but I just want to make sure that I'm not way off base. There's absolutely no way this dude is a billionaire, right?
He's not a billionaire.
Not even close, right?
No, not even close. In fact, if he wants to show me the money on that, I will gladly issue a retraction. I dug into him enough to know that his subsidiaries and all of that could potentially, if they're all legitimate, which I couldn't tell, he could potentially be worth the low dozens of millions if everything was true.
Yeah, well, there's some interesting stuff that's come up recently that makes me think that that's probably not even true.
Yeah, so and that's where we get to. We've been watching a couple of things happen here. When I say watching, I mean basically looking at the news, and we knew that there were going to be some court appearances by people who had been wronged by Courtney Jordan, and as well as a court appearance back in October, there was supposed to be a court appearance for someone who was described as being the president of Courtney Jordan Foundation America. So she ends up showing up in court with an attorney. This is Kristen Pico. And she was tied to this scandal with the election stuff down in Chatham County, where Courtney Jordan tried to force 4 candidates basically take over the town of or county of Chatham County or the town of Pittsburgh, depending on how you look at it. She was involved in that. Like, I think her husband and her brother-in-law were part of that, and she was in on it as well. But there's this court case with her that keeps kind of popping up and moving very slowly. And it's pretty simple. The idea was these two people, Crystal Graves and Brianna Thompson, were former employees of the foundation who had been working for this summer camp that was supposed to be free for all the kids in Durham, North Carolina. And they go to cash these makeup checks where they didn't get paid on time. The foundation itself issues them some checks, and they go in and they like sign off on these checks, but the banks won't take them. And then it turns out that like they charge Kristen Pico because like it's her name's on there. So when they start asking questions of her when she comes out of court, she doesn't know what to say. Her attorney doesn't know what to say. They finally end up settling it with a plea deal, I believe. But they said back then, in October 2025, that the founder of CJF and the CFO, Nick Gallardo, were facing charges of felony, conspiracy, and obtaining property under false pretenses. But the warrants had been unserved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the warrants exist, but they haven't come across them yet. Well, that's always interesting to me. And I wanted to know a little bit more about it from the perspective of, what are we doing? And I started getting some answers. I don't know if like I ever thought like any of this was legit. The more I dug into it, I found that they have seriously screwed a couple of like small businesses and several local communities by saying, oh, we're bringing you a community center. We're going to bring these resources and have this money available for people who qualify. And then they just don't do it. So finally, February 2026 rolls around and Kristen Pico is found guilty of issuing a worthless check, and she's ordered to pay restitution. But she gets found not guilty on the remaining counts because like they have to kind of take her at her word. Now, it looks to me like there were several things going on here where they were trying to scapegoat this woman. So I don't know that she's like fully involved in all of it.
I was just going to say she learned not to sign bad checks.
Yeah, she did. What's crazy is more lawsuits keep popping up. Multiple lawsuits have popped up. I saw one popped up on August the 13th. This lawsuit accuses Courtney Jordan directly of withholding $56,000 in wages. WRAL News has done a fantastic job, and so has WTVD, which is the ABC 11 down there. They have done a fantastic job of like trapping everything they can about this and making short summaries of everything. Some of the stories that are in these lawsuits sound like some person somewhere was like selling a tale. Like from WRAL, same day, August 13th, it says, in a lawsuit filed Wednesday, 23-year-old Joseph Allende, that's Ayinde, says he was hired in June of 2025 to be a program coordinator for the Courtney Jordan Group, set to be paid a $60,000 salary. He says that he was told by Nicholas Gallardo that his compensation would be delayed due to some issues with payroll processing. So he keeps working, right? Soon after this, he says that he's promoted within the company. And it is not a small promotion. It is when he's promoted in the company, he is promoted to deputy chief of staff by Courtney Jordan for Courtney Jordan. And his new salary is going to be $360,000. He says that a few weeks later, Courtney Jordan gave him $1,000, but as other employees began reporting fraudulent checks to media outlets, Jordan stopped communicating with him entirely. So he says he's owed around $56,000 in pay, and he wants some punitive damages in an amount to be calculated to punish the defendants to deter future similar conduct. So that's interesting, but that's the civil side of things.
Why didn't he want his actual salary that he was promised.
So I think what he's done, I think he only works for a period of time.
Okay.
So I don't think I don't think he was like sitting around thinking, I'm going to make this $360,000 and work forever for free. I think he calculated it, and basically whatever the prorated is for the time that he was working there comes to $56,000.
I mean, if you're just going to make up someone's salary anyway, why not pay them like $3 million?
Or pay them something realistic, like, $75,000. You got a $15,000 raise. That's all we're going to rip you off for this month.
I was going to say, I would be wondering, I've always said that these are the saddest cases. They really are, because, a lot of times you have like people who have good work ethics and they just keep right on working, especially with the whole summer camp thing.
Yeah.
And so you end up with, you're out that money because like they're never going to pay them, right?
Right.
It's
exactly.
just not going to happen. And so I would have a real hard time being like, oh, sure, like I'll work for free a little longer and you can pay me, a 600% increase. But, if they can't get you that little bit of money, how are they going to get you a lot of money?
Exactly. That was interesting to me that like this 23-year-old thought he was in a position that he was suddenly going to be making $360,000 a year as a deputy chief of staff for a billionaire who probably isn't a billionaire. And like I have gone down the rabbit hole even wondering like maybe something's wrong with this in a way that like somebody's pretending to be Courtney Jordan. I just don't think that's what's happening, but I thought about like, could that be possible? I think if you're making up the lie that you have $8 billion or you're worth $8 billion or whatever, I think that probably most of this behavior is potentially tied back to you, and it's going to be proven in court eventually. The problem was these guys weren't being served with warrants until they were. And I think this little clip here, I think this is one turning point for me. So I have two turning points technically, but I think this is one of them. This is an article from ABC 11. Diane Wilson is like their investigative troubleshooter there. So this comes back to her August 3rd, 2026. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, everybody was covering this because it was so interesting. The headline is, Leaders of Durham Foundation CJF arrested after high-speed chase, facing charges in 2 counties. And it says 2 leaders of a Durham nonprofit already under investigation were arrested and are facing multiple criminal charges in Person and Durham counties. Those are both counties in North Carolina. Person County Sheriff Jason Wilburn said Courtney Jordan and Nick Gallardo are leaders of the Courtney Jordan Foundation, or CJF America. They were arrested Monday by Person County deputies at a home on 4 Acres in Timberlake. Both men were wanted after authorities said they fled from Person County deputies during a high-speed chase on July 26. Both men were taken to Duke Hospital with injuries after the crash, but when deputies returned to arrest them, both had ran from the hospital. Jordan is facing multiple charges in Person County, including felony, fleeing to elude arrest, injury to personal property, second-degree trespassing. Gallardo is facing felony conspiracy in Person County, second-degree trespassing, and simple possession of a controlled substance. Both men have been wanted by Durham police since September 2025 on charges of obtaining property by false pretenses and conspiracy in connection with the CJF Foundation's operations. They were arrested on those charges on Monday, and both men will have court dates later this month. Okay, they ran from a traffic stop. That kind of tells me as much as I need to know that they've run from this traffic stop.
Yeah, because think about like how much, like how bad does something have to be for you to run from a traffic stop?
Right.
I mean, it's a traffic stop, right?
So here's what gets weirder about it. So they run through apparently 4 different counties for this traffic stop. Orange County, Alamance County, Person County, and Durham County are all involved. But whatever is happening here, how the sheriff ends up pulling this warrant. So according to a report by WRAL, Person County Sheriff's Deputy responded at 2 a.m. July 26 to an alarm at Helena Elementary School in Timberlake, North Carolina. The deputy spotted a Nissan Murano in the parking lot and attempted to stop it. But supposedly this alarm is not related to these two guys. That's just when the deputies saw them. But as soon as the driver saw the Person County deputy, they flee the scene, reaching speeds of up to 90 miles per hour as they're pursued through all these counties. The vehicle struck a deer during the chase. Okay?
Did it crash or just keep going?
So it doesn't specify if they crash after they hit the deer, but it does say the SUV goes airborne, crashes through a fence, and strikes a tree. But Courtney Jordan and Nicholas Gallardo run from the vehicle before deputies end up detaining them in a wooded area. Deputies then make arrangements for them to be taken to a hospital. It doesn't say if it's with the deputies or if it's by ambulance, but they're in the hospital, they're having testing done, and they flee from the hospital before deputies could take them into custody. So they end up seizing a bunch of stuff from the Nissan Murano that was driven in the crash and a book bag that was linked to the two of them, including, it says, more than a dozen electronic devices and laptops, financial and identification cards and documents, 51 pills of oxycodone hydrochloride, and multiple dosage units of buprenorphine. This is from the car. So because of what's happened, they go and get a search warrant, essentially.
And now everything makes so much more sense.
Yeah, right? I guess they also end up getting a search warrant related to one of their homes. But the thing about those identification documents and whatnot, they're not all related to these guys. So some of the names on there aren't them. And I thought that was interesting.
They're doing it for somebody or that they're stealing it from somebody?
Stealing it from somebody.
Okay.
I don't know what this is going to be in the end. I don't know what this is going to turn out to be in terms of why they're doing it.
It's a huge figment of, I imagine, Courtney Jordan's imagination. That's my guess.
So you think it's all a figment of the imagination here that we're dealing with?
Well, the fact that, we've got them running away from a traffic stop after they've hit a deer.
At 2 in the morning.
At 2 in the morning. And then all that stuff is found, the drugs and everything. The reason we know anything about Courtney Jordan at all is because, he's told people about himself, right?
Right.
And he doesn't really have any sort of claim to fame. And I don't know. I mean, to him, he does, right?
Right.
But I have a feeling that in his mind, he's something special. And that's why I say, it's a figment of his imagination. Because it sounds to me like he's, he feels like he's perhaps more important than he actually is, I guess would be an okay way to say that. And so I'm not sure what's going to happen. If he's committed crimes and, he's got to go to jail, he'll have a trial and he'll either be convicted of it or not. And a lot of it's financial crimes. I haven't yet, I don't think, heard of him actually hurting anybody, right? Have you?
I mean, I haven't seen anything where they've said he's committed any kind of violent crimes or anything. Everything looks like fraud. Now it's starting to look like there's potentially some kind of fraud related to documents. But yeah, financial fraud, quite a bit of abuse of resources and like locals. I mean, he's definitely burned the community. I can't imagine that anyone is going to want to look at all of this and think, yeah, I want to do that. I look at it and I don't see violent crimes, but I am starting to see weird stuff with the drugs now. That could just be like somebody's prescription that was out of a bottle. But then again, it's 2:00 in the morning. We're in an elementary school parking lot. We run from the cops. We hit a deer.
It sounded like way more than that. Was it not a larger quantity?
It was like 51 oxycodone or hydrocodone, 31 or 51, and then it was the other stuff. I think it was only 3 or 4 doses. I don't know if that's multiple pills or not.
Oh, I see. Well, I was just going to say,
there were a lot of devices for sure.
If it was somebody's prescription, like that wouldn't have been on the list, right? Like a valid prescription of.
I don't think so. I don't think they would seize them if they were in a prescription bottle. They might seize them if they're in like a medication, like pill counter. Like take your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday pills.
Right, but the prescription could still be valid, though.
Correct, but that's like the first thing I've seen where we're moving out of like white collar territory into sort of more interesting stuff. Having the other people's documents and things like that's a little weird.
Well, and I was thinking like certainly they checked the chemical makeup of the drugs to make sure they were actually drugs, because I guess I heard larger quantities than what was actually
Well, that's
there.
just in this one search warrant. I don't know about the other search warrant return, but I did hear it exists. So you could have heard a different news article and they could have been reading from a different thing. I haven't seen all of that yet.
Well, I was just thinking some sort of fraud also could be. Either like they're going to end up being drug addicts, and that's going to have fueled a lot of all the stuff that's happened. And it's not uncommon for people that have more money than they know what to do with to waste large amounts of it on drugs.
Oh, yeah.
Or that perhaps they were selling drugs that may or may not be what they actually claim them to be.
It could be that too. So they now have court dates for all of this. I did see something interesting, and that was WRAL ran a quick blurb where he speaks briefly. They interviewed a couple of people related to this. Before you
get to that, did they get out on bond?
Yeah, they got out on a $10,000 or $20,000 bond. I think they're both
like nothing.
Nothing, right?
And so they ran for no reason, I guess is my point.
I mean, they ran for no reason, right? So running from those warrants, like it probably made it be $10,000 because honestly, the type of warrants they have. My understanding and the couple of calls I've made to Durham and like looked around at their bonds, it looks to me like if you're on those charges in Durham, North Carolina, you're typically going to get an unsecured bond. So that means you're basically just signing a piece of paper saying you owe the court money if you don't show up.
Right.
But they end up getting secured bonds. They get out pretty quickly. I'll be interested to see if a billionaire applies for the public defender's office.
Well, then we'd have a look-see at his financial records.
At whatever he's claiming on his affidavit, right?
I mean, it's public record now. Correct. And you're supposed to be, I think you have to sign a statement of authenticity or whatever that you're, under the penalty of perjury, you're telling the truth. I don't know how much they actually look into that because it seems to me like just about everybody has to have a public defender.
Yeah, anybody charged with anything over a class F felony down there probably has to have a public defender, yeah. Especially like once you get to a C-level felony and you can get 20-some years in prison, you need a public defender because it's going to cost a lot of money to defend against even that type of crime. So that's not even murder. But like murder defendants always need a public defender. They just don't know they need it.
Yeah, no, I agree 1,000,000% with that.
I wanted to point out, so he pops up on Friday the 14th, Friday the 14th, WRAL, that article I mentioned. The headline is, CJF America founder says some people claiming they were defrauded were never employees. And it
now,
says
this one's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so fun. When in doubt, deny. It says CJF America founder Courtney Jordan pushed back Friday against allegations from former workers who say they were not paid or were defrauded, telling WRAL News that some of the people who have made claims against the nonprofit were never actually employees. And that's an interesting choice of words, because if you're stringing them along and they think they're getting hired, but you never hire them and never pay them, I guess technically they're not employees.
Oh, snap. Dang. Right? Well, I didn't think of it that way. What I thought was like, and granted, I mean, it doesn't really make it much better for it to have been what you just said. But like, I was thinking like he was going to be like, oh yeah, all these people are saying I employed them when I really didn't, because people don't typically do things like that, right? Not in like groups.
Right. Right. It's a weird thing to do.
Makes perfect sense, because like maybe he couldn't possibly hire anybody because he doesn't even really have any companies, right?
Right. So if it doesn't exist, or the Courtney Jordan Foundation is in the development phase, or a startup that might be, then it shouldn't be doing any work in the first place. But yeah, I mean, ultimately he could say, we're not even there yet, so there's no
But it's
way.
Just semantics, right?
Yeah, I think it's just his wordplay choices. It says that he pushed back on that, and then he says that he made the comments after appearing in a Wake County courtroom for a case involving former CJF America president Kristen Pico and a woman named Sydney Jones, who said she worked for the nonprofit and had invested $20,000 that she never got back. He says we have had a mass exodus of people who were in fact paid. He said a restructuring of the organization uncovered what he described as mismanagement and people taking a bit too many liberties. A lot of the employees that were featured on your news program and others were not even employees. Jordan said they've had no official contract with our organization, and it's sad. Friday's court hearing involved this woman named Sydney Jones. She had been charged with misdemeanor stalking and harassment after allegedly stalking the president of Courtney Jordan Foundation America, Kristen Pico. She ends up being found guilty. She testified she never received a salary and had invested $20,000 that she never got back. So I'm hoping they will uncover this as a Ponzi scheme at this point. So the judge gave her a 60-day suspended sentence and 6 months of probation.
I don't think for 1 second that woman was criminally stalking anybody.
No, she was just mad about the $20,000.
And I take issue with, I mean, I don't know if she pled or if, like, I don't know what happened there, but I don't feel like she should end up with, like, a criminal record because of this. Yeah, don't you think?
Oh, I agree. I think this is crazy.
And I was so surprised when I saw that, because it's just so that is weaponizing criminal charges, right?
It is,
because if somebody has a lawful reason to be contacting you because you owe them money, depending on the nature of what was happening, right? And then she went to the magistrate and swore out stalking charges herself, because I guarantee you a cop didn't do it.
Right.
Usually,
you think it's like a civilian warrant? I think it's a civilian complaint that got her this warrant. Yes.
Well, unless a police officer saw it, they're not going to put themselves on a warrant for something like this.
Unless
there's significantly more to it, right?
Well, I don't think significantly more to it gets you 60 days suspended and 6 months of probation.
Exactly. You're right. But I'm just saying this is like a civil matter that someone used criminal charges in.
Yeah, or, I mean, the truth is she might have been so upset about that money that she did engage in some harassing behavior that led to that. I'm just saying, like, we could both see how a path like that would fit your bill and also fit the bill of she was so mad that, like, some of the things she said, the judge looked at and was like, these are kind of borderline stalking, and that's why she gets 60 days suspended and 6 months probation, which 6 months probation is nothing.
No, yeah, I agree, but I still don't think that this situation should have been what tipped this entire woman's life, right?
Oh, I agree with you on that, yeah. They closed this article out after talking about that and talking about the fact that the person who's the witness in that case was found guilty of issuing a simple, worthless check. They also say that Courtney Jordan said that CJF America is continuing to restructure and that new president, Rosie Alvarez, is expected to release a 100-day plan. So the president that they use as a scapegoat, they've gotten rid of, or she's left, probably because she didn't get a paycheck. She couldn't write herself her own check. But now they have a new president, Rosie Alvarez, and it says, for transparency, we have a duty to the public because that is who we're here to serve. Jordan was asked exactly how much money CJF America owes its former employees. He said they're still calculating that amount. Jordan currently faces criminal charges in Durham and Person counties, along with multiple civil lawsuits in Durham. In July, the Person County Sheriff's Office said Jordan and CGF America CFO Nicholas Gallardo led deputies on a high-speed chase. The two are due in Person County Court August 17th on that issue. But what I want to know is, why are you guys hanging out in an elementary school parking lot at 2 a.m?
Not to mention, like, what? When he says for transparency, we have a duty to the public because that is who we are here to serve. Okay, what was the question he was asked that was the answer to? Okay.
Right.
What is he talking about? Because I haven't heard of any sort of service. I've heard of some like ideas that they've quote hired end quote people to do, and those people in turn worked their butts off, didn't get paid, took it to the media, and then they found out they never actually worked for him, apparently, I guess, according to him, right?
Right.
And so what is he talking about?
I do not know, and I can't tell. Like, it's oddly edited. It's actually him talking. Like in the news clip, it's like a 3-minute clip, but like it's weirdly edited. Like they had to cut around him saying some things they weren't able to fact check or something. And I just looked at it and I was like, I would totally be here for this series on Netflix.
But he says nothing, right?
Right.
There's nothing that's said. I mean, he basically, I was wondering if Ms. Rosie Alvarez, is that what you said her name was?
Yeah, that's the new president of CJRF America.
I wonder if she knows what she's getting herself into.
No, she does not. CJF America's new president she doesn't know she's being scammed yet.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to have worked for them to scapegoat the former CEO, though. I actually think that they're going to face some music on what they've been charged with, and I don't know what he's taught. I hope you're probably right. There's probably a lot of word salad in between, like that didn't get shown. But to me, he said absolutely nothing. Yeah.
For the record, the person that they're saying is now their president was the program scheduling and acquisition specialist for the Odyssey channel, which used to be in RDU and Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. It primarily focused on making content about Courtney Jordan. She then became the vice president of digital transformation for the Courtney Jordan Foundation in January 2022. And she is not based in the United States. She's based in the UK, which is the most important part of being part of Courtney Jordan Foundation, that you not be in the U.S. where they can get to you quickly at 2 a.m. in an elementary school parking lot. Because then you're a witness. I don't know what is happening, but it is crazy. This whole thing will be interesting to keep watching. Sorry.
But what do you think is happening here?
I think it's a Ponzi scheme of some kind. These people are now coming forward where they say they put money into this thing. I don't know if they're being literal, but if they are being literal and they wrote checks to this foundation and that foundation is collecting money, I'm dying to know when that's coming out. Well,
that's going to be like a whole nother can of worms, right? Because supposedly it's his philanthropy that is behind these not-for-profits, or I don't even know what they call themselves. It's a foundation, right?
Right.
And supposedly it's his philanthropy, right?
Right.
Because he's a billionaire.
That's what supposedly CJRF is doing. But in this search warrant, so the Person County Sheriff's Office investigators, and I have no understanding of the Person County Sheriff's Office size or capabilities.
Okay.
But they state that the two of them, meaning Gallardo and Courtney Jordan, so Nicholas Gallardo and Courtney Jordan, at 2 a.m. at an elementary school in Timberlake, North Carolina, were in a 2020 Nissan Murano registered to a woman with a Chapel Hill address. So Chapel Hill and Person County aren't super far away from each other, but they're multiple counties apart. Investigators say they then determined that the two of them were later using a 2025 Toyota RAV4 with a Texas license plate that had a rental vehicle registered to that same woman's name. And in the warrant, they wrote that the use of multiple vehicles, including rental vehicles obtained through third parties or associates, is a common methodology utilized by individuals attempting to avoid law enforcement detection and hinder investigative efforts. And that's true. The warrant says the deputies executed multiple search warrants total related to this investigation, which is what I was telling you. I don't know which thing came from where yet, including searches of the suspect vehicles and bags after the chase. They found multiple phones, suspected illegal drugs, laptops, notebooks with financial account information, including logins and passwords, and IDs belonging to other people, as well as U.S. currency. So they were taken into custody this time at a home in Timberlake, North Carolina, and the warrant says that deputies had initiated surveillance on this property. They said that when they executed a search warrant at the home, they found several iPhones, an iPad, and multiple receipts that appeared to document large financial transactions. I don't know what they've done here or what is happening that, like, this is the world that they now live in, but it doesn't sound new. It doesn't sound like they woke up last week and suddenly realized they were the subject of a bunch of investigations. When I started poking around into this with various types of contacts, I discovered that they have a state investigation, meaning the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation is looking at something they've done. Mm-hmm. They also appear to have a federal investigation, and that's just now, as you and I are like recording and putting this stuff together, that's just now starting to be talked about. But my guess is that's not going to be great for them. Like, if they're already trying to like not be detected by law enforcement, and suddenly law enforcement on multiple levels are looking for them, I'm thinking that is going to uncover whatever nonsense they're doing. And I'm guessing it's on a much smaller scale than I was thinking originally. I think at this point, it's going to be like a tiny little Ponzi scheme that's kind of piddly.
Well, right. And he's just stealing money from people and then like making big deals out of things that don't, come to fruition. Right. And he's got his like name or initials or whatever like slapped onto everything. Right. And I'm not sure if this is just like an overactive attempt to manifest the life that he wanted. Right. Like if I say it, it'll happen. But
I think that's what it is, though. I think you hit the nail on the head with that.
Well, you're not. I mean, I know to some extent that's what this is. The other part of it is, though, every single thing you said that was happening, like none of that sounds like what any billionaire ever does, right?
Right.
And so it leaves me wondering, well, what is really happening? Because he could be doing all this stuff and have never brought any attention to himself. If he hadn't have defrauded, the chicken hut or whatever it was.
Yeah,
and
that's where
like
they started.
Where the media picked up, right?
Yeah.
Like he could have done a lot of stuff and gone right under the radar. Because I guarantee you, because even I remember, like, when it comes to, damaging small local businesses and having people with families or even without families working and not getting a paycheck they were promised, like, that's not the type of financial crime that I'm, more apt to overlook or not be interested in, right? That's serious to me. And it's also really dirty to do things like that. And I just can't figure out, like, what the point is. Because, most of the time when you have somebody that is very successful, like on a level apparently he is projecting himself to be, I don't believe it. I really don't think anybody believes it, but maybe I'm wrong. How they got to that status, right?
Yeah, not only that, like, once you get to a certain level of wealth, you start to be tracked. And once you're tracked, like, it's because you're attractive to people that want to use, like, phone trees to network with you and to bring you customers and vendors and to do different things related to your work that got you all that money.
Well, what got him all this money?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something.
Like, they ran these, like, pretty nice, like, super slick websites where it kind of looks like they're running call centers and sweatshops. And that maybe they've gone around and bought a bunch of laundry mats and, you know what I'm saying? Car washes and stuff like that.
None of that stuff led anywhere.
No, I mean, those are all money makers. That's why I'm saying, like, if all of those things actually belong to him, he can project an air of wealth with those things because he has regular income coming in that's sort of passive. He, like, invested his, $1 million from Microsoft or whatever, and he's got all these, like, little small businesses that, like, are generating enough income for him to look like he has money. But every time I drill down on something that he's doing with the different names that he has attached to things, they don't have social media presence. They don't appear to have, like, vendor customer presence. They don't appear to have any kind of, like, actual documentable growth or, independent tracking by a board or anything. None of them appear to have, like, anything to do with the stock market, even though he says at different times, venture capital and hedge funds. None of that appears to, like, have made a dent in anything related to the names of the companies. If you go on Crunchbase and look at them, they're not saying a whole lot about them. So that means they're not recommending people invest in them or whatever. But it also is weird to, like, try and track down all the things that he says he has that are worth billions of dollars, and to find that, like, individually there are less than 1,000 followers for his 19 or 20 companies, and they're all the same followers who all appear to be employees
that may or may not be getting paid.
Right, and that makes me think Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, you're probably right. I guess I just don't get it. That seems like a lot of work. If for somebody that's smart and that could actually do something, it seems not. I'm not saying that he is or isn't smart and can actually do something. I'm just saying if it is in fact a ruse, which there's a lot of signs pointing that way at this point, I don't understand it. I feel like that's a lot of work when you could just like put work into actually doing something and not just talk about it.
Yeah. And, I'm going to come back around to this one when I start to learn more about it, because I have requested a bunch of documents in the different cases that are happening now. We've covered this in the past, and in the past when we talked about it, I went back through various, like, I was to the point that, like, I was finding newsletters where people were talking about how excited they were to have the foundation giving money in Roxborough, North Carolina, in Timberlake, North Carolina, which appears to be somewhere near where they are, or where they're found and these warrants are served. And I was very disappointed to discover that, like, nothing they have promised people has come true at any point in time.
And why do that, right?
I don't know the answer to that, but yeah.
Because to me, like, if, let's say somebody really was trying and it didn't succeed, like, they wouldn't continue to do it, right? They would be like, well, I wanted to be, like, benevolent and I wanted to give back, but last time it didn't work, so I've got to stop doing that, right?
Right.
Because you don't want to, the people that need help, that we would be talking about, like having a newsletter saying we're getting money, right? Like, that's not the type of people who need more disappointment in their life.
Yeah, it does seem like he's found some level of a sweet spot for target vulnerable victims. You know what I mean? I
just don't get what he gets out of that.
I don't know. And that's what I'm wondering is so the Ponzi scheme to me is probably he's convinced some people to give him money and other people to let him manage their money. That's the typical Ponzi scheme with people like this.
But he doesn't even advertise that though, does he?
No, he's got to be doing it like he's got to be walking around and physically talking to people. I went through several things online, because the thing about billionaires is when billionaires like make a mistake, like you're gonna find out pretty quickly that like other people are talking about it. If something like this happens and nobody is talking about it, it's not just that they're not a billionaire, it's that like nobody really knows who they are. And that was the response for the bulk of what I've been able to dig up on Courtney Jordan.
Like, he can't even make a name for himself. Like, even with all the stuff he's done. Like, that whole taking over the town thing was bonkers, right? Like, where he was backing campaigns to basically take over, a large part of the political offices in a small town, right? It was crazy. Right. But even that didn't make huge headlines.
Right. I found this Durham Voice article from April of 2016. Okay. So think 10 years ago. And it's got this article buried in it because I don't think anybody was reading this Durham Voice paper. It looks like a student paper.
Yeah.
This is by Justice Davis, and it says the Courtney Jordan Group is a nonprofit organization with a mission to provide opportunities to people with great ideas through its program Startup Durham. Providing viable solutions for our society's issues here in Durham is that the wealth disparity in Durham is so great, and being able to give services or opportunities to people who are under-resourced, according to President Courtney Jordan. Just because you don't have doesn't mean you can't send your kid to an awesome summer camp where we can take them to the beach and do language lessons. We did an entire Avatar-themed day for them, and we turned our room into the Avatar world. Courtney Jordan is a North Carolina Central alumnus, came to the university from Charlotte after the death of his father. Later, while enrolled in Duke Law School, he was introduced through his business partner, Mary Bassey, to a man named Abraham Ishmael, who taught him how to code. I designed the app for BlackBerry. At the time, Android had just come out. iPhone was out, but you couldn't get the iPhone without AT&T, and it was the only touchscreen phone. This was when BlackBerry was still popular. With the iPhone and Android, you could use your finger to unlock your phone, and it was cool to do. But with BlackBerry, you type it. I thought people are going to stop buying BlackBerry, and BlackBerry is going to go out of business, but I love BlackBerry. I designed an app that used your background picture as your password. So if you circle my face or my eye or drew Mickey Mouse ears on me, then that would unlock your phone. Jordan would go on to sell the app for much more than what he originally intended and decided to reinvest the money into different businesses. Money goes really quickly, even millions of dollars goes very quickly, so to reinvest into different businesses was very important to me. It was something my father taught me. Startup Durham attempts to take about 7 businesses and provide a space to work and up to $110,000 for each of these businesses to reach their maximum potential. Being an entrepreneur is what put Jordan in the position to help the community, and he feels the true way to help those in the community is to give them a business. The lowest form of charity is just to give money because it says I do not value enough to give of myself. The highest form is to give a business because then they can employ their community. This is according to Wendy Clark, the founder of Carpe Diem Clothing, which is housed inside the historic John O'Daniel Exchange along with the Courtney Jordan Group. The challenge in the U.S. is we have a lot of relief, but we have almost no development. I'm really excited about what he's done with Startup Durham because this is exactly what we need. We need entrepreneurship. Startup Durham can impact the community as it represents an opportunity for many to start a business that will have the financial support and stability to give it a real chance at success. Jordan also intends on listening to student proposed business plans and eventually taking one to be among the 7 in Startup Durham. One thing I can say about Durham is it's growing, but people care about one another, and a lot of responses from businesses here in Durham is an overwhelming yes. We would love to mentor people to help grow Durham and change the negative opinion of Durham. Durham is an excellent place. Well, don't screw it up then, dude. So this is an article from 10 years ago. So this delusion has at least been running for 10 years. Would it be fair to say?
Yeah, but in that scenario, it was millions.
Right.
It's probably been going on for like much longer than that.
No, I'm just saying, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so it's interesting the way he said like money goes really fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the activities that are kind of coming out, nothing about it says it doesn't hold water with what the claims are, right? As far as anytime, and this is so bad, but like anytime somebody's like full name, what is in the title of their, philanthropic organization. And they're still alive, right?
Right.
The person's still alive. It wasn't named after them in, their memory. Like almost always, I'm sure there's some exceptions, but there's some shady stuff happening.
Yeah, I think there is shady stuff happening here. Okay, just to be clear, I did a little bit of investigating when this first happened, because I think it's a shame when you take advantage of local businesses. And all I wanted to know, the only question I had back when that was happening was, are they really running a summer camp for free for these kids and something just got screwed up, or is this some kind of scam? The rest of it coming out feels like years and years of money going really fast. Who said that recently? And money going really fast could make for like you needing more money coming in than you have going out. And like, I'm not saying he doesn't have businesses. Hey, for all I know, I'm wrong. And he invested in all these businesses overseas and just doesn't want to bring it back to the U.S. because because the thing is he's involved in some kind of like massive tax evasion kind of scam. And then I'm wrong, which is fine. I don't mind being wrong about something like that. Except I don't think I am.
You don't get on TV and say they were never our employees, though.
No, you don't.
That's not something you do if you're in for one thing, you wouldn't make that comment, even if that were the case, right? You just wouldn't. You're not gonna say something because it's a crass thing to say. When it comes to an organization, which is what he represents, what he should be representing, and what he's saying in this little blurb that he says absolutely nothing in, but it's posted. I don't know that it made the news on television or whatever. It's just online, but organizations should never be calling individuals that have, I think it's a legitimate legal complaint, right? Like they would never call them out and say, oh, those people are lying. They were never our employees. Like it gets handled, right? If there were no legs to their claims, it would get handled. And the fact that, you go and say, oh, well, those people weren't even our employees. Now, you made a good point in saying that it was more than likely semantics, which I can actually sort of see that now that you said it. But my thought was couldn't you come up with a better excuse than that? Because it would seem like somebody would say, well, they are incorrect that we did not pay them, as opposed to claiming a group of people were pretending that they were employed by him and didn't get paid.
Yeah, right? But people with billions of dollars to protect, even dozens of millions of dollars to protect,
they'd be paying that $20,000 and moving on.
It's not even that. They're not going to comment on this. Their lawyer or their spokesperson.
Well, they're not even going to comment on it. They're going to handle it.
That's what I think too.
They're going to legally, of course that's what's going to happen. Because think about it. This is terrible to even say, but in situations where people have integrity, and I'm not saying that he doesn't, except he really doesn't. When people have integrity, they don't have these little spat type things in online media, right?
Well, when people have billions of dollars, they do not get caught at the local elementary school at 2 a.m. driving a Nissan Murano. They just don't.
Yeah. So
even if you have hundreds of dollars, that doesn't happen.
Do we know for sure he was? My understanding of that situation, after a couple of comments or a couple of things that were stated later, it made it seem like the context of the reason why the deputies or the law enforcement officers were in the area was because they were responding. But they said it wasn't related, but I kind of doubt that, don't you?
I don't have an answer for that. I have the same thought I think you're having. I think it has to be related. They just didn't get caught in the middle of it.
Well, right. Or they weren't successful because an alarm went off.
Right. Something like that.
And they were surprised and they left. But what were they going to do at the school?
I don't know.
Were they going into the chem lab? Was it an elementary school?
It was an elementary school. It's not even nothing there interesting to do.
Maybe they were stealing things to use for the camp that doesn't exist to begin with.
I don't know, but I do not believe a billionaire is there with their CFO at 2 a.m. running from the cops in a 2020 Nissan Murano. If this had been a Tesla or something, I'd totally be like, yep, there you go. That's a billionaire.
Oh, I see.
There's no way.
I see what you're saying. But the funny thing is, real billionaires, they typically, and I'm not a billionaire, don't get me wrong. I have no firsthand experience with this. I guess I'm just sort of thinking about it. But most billionaires would be in bed because they would have to get up and go work.
They got to be real busy at 6 a.m. in 4 hours.
Exactly. And so it's just quite a few things that don't add up. Now, I'm the type of person who I actually, maybe I don't as much anymore, but maybe I actually feel insulted when people try to, I guess, pull one over on anybody, right? Just be who you are. And the fact that Courtney Jordan of the Courtney Jordan Foundation projects that he is a billionaire, it kind of makes me feel insulted.
Yeah.
Like, you really think that people would believe that? Because there's no way that's true. And I know I probably shouldn't care that much, but he keeps seeming to come up, right?
Yeah.
Because of that, I am looking into it, and there ends up being like so much more sort of repeatedly, right?
Right.
And it doesn't seem like he's going away, but I'm also not quite sure where we're at right now is enough that he's going to face a significant consequence. Do you think?
I don't know yet. Like the federal stuff, like here's the thing, man. Once you get into low-level wire fraud and financial crimes, they like to punish you. Like, you don't have enough money to pay your way out, and they like to give you a little bit of a spanking. So that, I think, is where you could get like into some serious trouble. If the feds get a hold of this and there's something in their Ponzi scheme and they decide to like take a swing at them, I think that could go very bad. Don't you?
Yeah, I do. I'm just not sure it's going to end up there, but I mean, it may. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I can guarantee you it was all pointless. There was absolutely nothing behind anything he was doing that was even worth being in the Nissan Murano at the elementary school at 2:00 in the morning to get pulled over to end up having to face the warrants, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm interested to see kind of how this goes. And like, this is something that like, for the first time, I think in a long time, this is a non-murder, non-missing person thing that like for just a minute, I was like, I might throw some money into this and like go do some deep dives and spend some time on the ground having people interview folks that have been affected by this and just see what pops out of it.
Man, I feel like that's setting yourself up for disappointment because
I said it felt like that.
Oh, I see.
But I haven't done it.
Right.
Because the truth is, I cannot give any more irrelevant self-importance to this guy. I just can't do it.
We'll probably have to give him a little more if something else happens.
I'll talk about what he's doing because I find that interesting. I don't want him to keep doing it to people. But like, it's weird. And it's like one of those things that like, I stop myself when I consider putting more time into it. And I'm like, all right, he got a couple of episodes. But like, that was because there were news items about it. And I was genuinely interested in like the legal processes that he was going to face or not face. Because like, I think that's where you and I landed. We were kind of like, even if he's drug in there, I don't think anything's really going to happen to him.
Well, the fact that we covered the scam part of it because it was like an on your side type.
Yeah.
Okay. And the fact that like stuff actually started happening was shocking to me, right? I was very shocked.
Well, not only that it started happening, but also they were like running from the cops and we were like, is there something to this? And we missed the boat.
Well, and so there may be, okay, but it's still not going to be a big deal. I don't know what's happening here. I feel like if it's not a nothing burger, it's going to be something huge. I don't think it's going to be something huge. I think it's a nothing burger. And I think that they just got enough, like, I guess, complaints that somebody went after him, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it is, honestly. I don't know. I was interested in it. I was wanting to cover it again because I had an update. I thought this would be a good episode for this week to kind of talk about the scam side of things. I actually had something completely different planned. But like, truthfully, like when we sit down and do this, I start to see the time suck that is the Courtney Jordan world. And I have to limit myself.
Well, and because it's really not, I don't know that I'm going to get involved in a time suck that isn't a serious victim situation.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm talking like murders or something like that, because
right.
I feel like giving this guy more attention, that's what he wants.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think like he, to some degree, he thrives on the type of attention where people are looking at him positively. I don't think he'll thrive on negative attention until he realizes what a lot of other people have realized. And that thing they realized is that there's no difference in negative and positive attention. So you, even when there's negative attention to give, if it's a person feeding on it, you don't want to give it to them.
Right, exactly. Like you really don't. And I just can't quite figure out. I don't think he's going to like this attention for very long. I don't know that it's going to make him change his ways. I don't know.
Well, no one should.
I don't know that he's going to get enough deterrence to stop doing whatever it is he's doing, because I can't figure out why you would do it in the first place, except for the attention, right?
Yeah, that's where I land on him, I think. I don't have anything else on this particular story for this episode. Do you have anything else on this one?
Only if Rosie Alvarez releases the 100-day plan.
Oh, so you think if the 100-day plan comes out, we have to cover that? All right, I'm down for that.
If there's a 100-day plan released, we will absolutely be on it.
You think it's never going to happen?
I don't even know that Rosie Alvarez exists.
Well, I found her LinkedIn.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So a LinkedIn profile with a photo and a link to Courtney Jordan, that exists. Whether it's real or not, I don't know.
Well, if it's on the internet, I mean, it has to be real, right?
Special consideration was given to True Crime Excess by LabrottieCreations.com. If you have a moment in your favorite app, please go on and give us a review or a 5-star rating. It helps us get noticed in the crowd. This is True Crime XS.
You fall like the stars. I break things like guitars. Thick skin, no scars. We're in trouble, we took it too far. I don't want to go, but it's 'cause I'll disappoint ya. It's all I've ever dreamed of, something I cannot let go of. I hate the competition, this culture's like a gym, and I lost the motivation to get fit in your expectations.
True Crime Excess is brought to you by John and Meg. It's written, produced, edited, and posted by John and Meg. You can always support True Crime Excess through Patreon.com, or if you have a story you'd like them to cover, you can reach them at TrueCrimeAccess.com. Thank you for joining us.